and used his position to gain political and military support. 42. When open war broke out, Ieyasu defeated rival clans in the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. He was appointed shogun by Emperor Go-Yazdire in 1603 and established the Tokugawa shogunate at Edo, modern Tokyo. 43. The shogunate enacted measures including Bukeshahato, as a code of conduct to control the autonomous daimyo. 44. And in 1639 the isolationist Sakoku, closed country, policy that spanned the 2.5 centuries of tenuous political unity known as the Edo period, 1603-1868. 43. 45. Modern Japan's economic growth began in this period, resulting in roads and water transportation routes, as well as financial instruments such as futures contracts, banking and insurance of the Osaka rice brokers. 46. The study of Western sciences, Rangaku, continued through contact with the Dutch enclave in Nagasaki. 43. The Edo period gave rise to Kokugaku, national studies, the study of Japan by the Japanese. 47. Modern era. In 1854, Commodore Matthew C. Perry and the black ships of the United States Navy forced the opening of Japan to the outside world with the Convention of Kanagawa. 43. Subsequent similar treaties with other Western countries brought economic and political crises. 43. The resignation of the shogun led to the Boshin War and the establishment of a centralized state nominally unified under the emperor, the Meiji Restoration. 48. Adopting Western political, judicial, and military institutions, the Cabinet organized the Privy Council, introduced the Meiji Constitution, the 29th of November, 1890, and assembled the Imperial Diet. 49. During the Meiji period, 1868-1912, the Empire of Japan emerged as the most developed nation in Asia and as an industrialized world power that pursued military conflict to expand its sphere of influence. 50, 51, 52. After victories in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894-1895, and the Russo-Japanese War, 1904-1905, Japan gained control of Taiwan, Korea and the southern half of Sakhalin. 53, 49. The Japanese population doubled from 35 million in 1873 to 70 million by 1935, with a significant shift to urbanization. 54, 55. The early 20th century saw a period of Taisha democracy, 1912-1926, overshadowed by increasing expansionism and militarization. 56, 57. World War I allowed Japan, which joined the side of the victorious Allies, to capture German possessions in the Pacific and in China. 57. The 1920s saw a political shift towards statism, a period of lawlessness following the 1923 Great Tokyo earthquake, the passing of laws against political dissent, and a series of attempted coups. 55, 58, 59. This process accelerated during the 1930s, spawning several radical nationalist groups that shared a hostility to liberal democracy and a dedication to expansion in Asia. In 1931, Japan invaded and occupied Manchuria. Following international condemnation of the occupation, it resigned from the League of Nations 2 years later. 60. In 1936 Japan signed the Anti-Comintern Pact with Nazi Germany. The 1940 Tripartite Pact made it one of the Axis powers. 55. Emperor Meiji, Meiji 10, 1852-1912. The Japanese Empire. In 1942 Japan's imperial ambitions ended on September 2, 1945, with the country's surrender to the Allies. The Empire of Japan invaded other parts of China in 1937, precipitating the Second Sino-Japanese War, 1937-1945. 61. In 1940, the Empire invaded French Indochina, after which the United States placed an oil embargo on Japan. 55. 62. On December 7, 1941, Japanese forces carried out surprise attacks on Pearl Harbor, as well as on British forces in Malaya, Singapore, and Hong Kong, among others, beginning World War II in the Pacific. 63. Throughout areas occupied by Japan during the war, numerous abuses were committed against local inhabitants, with many forced into sexual slavery. 64. After Allied victories during the next 4 years, which culminated in the Soviet invasion of Manchuria and the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, Japan agreed to an unconditional surrender. 65. The war cost Japan its colonies and millions of lives. 55. The Allies, led by the United States, repatriated millions of Japanese settlers from their former colonies and military camps throughout Asia, largely eliminating the Japanese Empire and its influence over the territories it conquered. 66. 67. The Allies convened the International Military Tribunal for the Far East to prosecute Japanese leaders for war crimes. 67. In 1947, Japan adopted a new constitution emphasizing liberal democratic practices. 67. The Allied occupation ended with the Treaty of San Francisco in 1952. 68. And Japan was granted membership in the United Nations in 1956. 67. A period of record growth propelled Japan to become the second largest economy in the world. Winking sad smiley. 67. This ended in the mid-1990s after the popping of an asset price bubble, beginning the lost decade. 69. On the 11th of March, 2011, Japan suffered one of the largest earthquakes in its recorded history, triggering the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. 70. On May 1, 2019, after the historic abdication of Emperor Akihito, his son Naruhito became emperor, beginning the Reiwa. 71. Geography. The Japanese archipelago Japan comprises 6,852 islands extending along the Pacific coast of Asia. It stretches over 3,000 kilometers, 1,900 mi, northeast-southwest from the Sea of Okhotsk to the East China Sea. 72. 73. The country's 5 main islands, from north to south, are Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu and Okinawa. 74. The Ryukyu Islands, which include Okinawa, are a chain to the south of Kyushu. The Nan Islands are south and east of the main islands of Japan. Together they are often known as the Japanese archipelago. 75. As of 2019, Japan's territory is 377,975.24 square kilometers, 145,937.06 square mi. 1. Japan has the 6th longest coastline in the world at 29,751 kilometers, 18,486 mi. Because of its far-flung outlying islands, Japan has the 8th largest exclusive economic zone in the world, covering 4,470,000 km to 1,730,000 square mi. 76. 77. The Japanese archipelago is 67% forests and 14% agricultural. 78. The primarily rugged and mountainous terrain is restricted for habitation. 79. Thus the habitable zones, mainly in the coastal areas, have very high population densities. Japan is the 40th most densely populated country. 80. 81. Honshu has the highest population density at 450 persons/kilometer to 1,200 /square mi, as of 2010, while Hokkaido has the lowest density of 64.5 persons/kilometer to as of 2016.82, as of 2014, approximately 0.5% of Japan's total area is reclaimed land. Umite Tekai. 83. Lake Biwa is an ancient lake and the country's largest freshwater lake. 84. Japan is substantially prone to earthquakes, tsunami and volcanic eruptions because of its location along the Pacific Ring of Fire. 85. It has the 17th highest natural disaster risk as measured in the 2016 World Risk Index. 86. Japan has 111 active volcanoes. 87. Destructive earthquakes, often resulting in tsunami, occur several times each century. Winking sad smiley. 88. The 1923 Tokyo earthquake killed over 140,000 people. 89. More recent major quakes are the 1995 Great Hanshin earthquake and the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, which triggered a large tsunami. 70. Climate. Mount Fuji in spring. View from Arakirayama Senjin Park. The climate of Japan is predominantly temperate but varies greatly from north to south. The northernmost region, Hokkaido, has a humid continental climate with long, cold winters and very warm to cool summers. Precipitation is not heavy, but the islands usually develop deep snowbanks in the winter. 90. In the Sea of Japan region on Honshu's west coast, northwest winter winds bring heavy snowfall during winter. In Tsushima, the region sometimes experiences extremely hot temperatures because of the foam. 91. The Central Highland has a typical inland humid continental climate, with large temperature differences between summer and winter. The mountains of the Kogoku and Shikoku regions shelter the Seto Inland Sea from seasonal winds, bringing mild weather year-round. 90. The Pacific coast features a humid subtropical climate that experiences milder winters with occasional snowfall and hot humid summers because of the southeast seasonal wind. The Ryukyu and Land Islands have a subtropical climate, with warm winters and hot summers. Precipitation is very heavy, especially during the rainy season. 90. The main rainy season begins in early May in Okinawa, and the rain front gradually moves north. In late summer and early autumn, typhoons often bring heavy rain. 92. According to the Environment Ministry, heavy rainfall and increasing temperatures have caused problems in the agricultural industry and elsewhere. 93. The highest temperature ever measured in Japan, 41.1 degrees Celsius, 106.0 degrees Fahrenheit, was recorded on the 23rd of July, 2018, 94, and repeated on the 17th of August, 2020. 95. Biodiversity. Japan has 9 forest ecoregions which reflect the climate and geography of the islands. They range from subtropical moist broadleaf forests in the Ryukyu and Bonin Islands, to temperate broadleaf and mixed forests in the mild climate regions of the main islands, to temperate coniferous forests in the cold, winter portions of the northern islands. 96. Japan has over 90,000 species of wildlife as of 2019. 97, including the brown bear, the Japanese macaque, the Japanese raccoon dog, the small Japanese field mouse, and the Japanese giant salamander. 98. A large network of national parks has been established to protect important areas of flora and fauna as well as 52 Ramsar wetland sites. 99. 100. 4 sites have been inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List for their outstanding natural value. 101. Environment. Autumn maple leaves, Momiji, at Kombuji on Mount Kya, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in the period of rapid economic growth after World War II. Environmental policies were downplayed by the government and industrial corporations. As a result, environmental pollution was widespread in the 1950s and 1960s. Responding to rising concerns, the government introduced environmental protection laws in 1970. 102. The oil crisis in 1973 also encouraged the efficient use of energy because of Japan's lack of natural resources. 103. Japan ranks 20th in the 2018 Environmental Performance Index, which measures a nation's commitment to environmental sustainability. 104. Japan is the world's fifth largest emitter of carbon dioxide. 93. As the host and signatory of the 1997 Kyoto Protocol, Japan is under treaty obligation to reduce its carbon dioxide emissions and to take other steps to curb climate change. 105. In 2020, the government of Japan announced a target of carbon neutrality by 2050. 106. Environmental issues include urban air pollution, NOx, suspended particulate matter, and toxics, waste management, water purification, nature conservation, climate change, chemical management and international cooperation for conservation. 107. Government and politics. Emperor Naruhito, current head of state, and Empress Meisako participated in the imperial procession by motor car after the ceremony of the enthronement in Tokyo on the 10th of November 2019. Japan is a unitary state and constitutional monarchy in which the power of the emperor is limited to a ceremonial role. 108. Executive power is instead wielded by the Prime Minister of Japan and his cabinet, whose sovereignty is vested in the Japanese people. 109. Naruhito is the Emperor of Japan, having succeeded his father Akihito upon his accession to the chrysanthemum throne in 2019. 108. The National Diet. Building Japan's legislative organ is the National Diet, a bicameral parliament. 108. It consists of a lower house of representatives with 465 seats, elected by popular vote every 4 years or when dissolved, and an upper house of councillors with 245 seats, whose popularly elected members serve 6-year terms. 110. There is universal suffrage for adults over 18 years of age. 111. With a secret ballot for all elected offices. 109. The Prime Minister as the head of government has the power to appoint and dismiss ministers of state, and is appointed by the Emperor after being designated from among the members of Diet. 110. Fumio Kishida is Japan's Prime Minister. He took office after winning the 2021 Liberal Democratic Party leadership election. 112. The right-wing Big Tent Liberal Democratic Party has been the dominant party in the country since the 1950s, often called the 1955 system. 113. Historically influenced by Chinese law, the Japanese legal system developed independently during the Edo period through texts such as Kujikata Osei Daimageki. 114. Since the late 19th century, the judicial system has been largely based on the civil law of Europe, notably Germany. In 1896, Japan established a civil code based on the German Bürgerliches Gesetzbuch, which remains in effect with post-World War II modifications. 115. The Constitution of Japan, adopted in 1947, is the oldest unamended constitution in the world. 116. Statutory law originates in the legislature, and the constitution requires that the emperor promulgate legislation passed by the Diet without giving him the power to oppose legislation. The main body of Japanese statutory law is called the Six Codes. 114. Japan's court system is divided into four basic tiers: the Supreme Court and three levels of lower courts. 117. Administrative divisions. Japan is divided into 47 prefectures, each overseen by an elected governor and legislature.